everybody, thank you all for coming today. So my name is Bailey Wilson. I am a second year PhD student at Ulster University. My PhD focuses on low and energy design houses, and particularly the passive house criteria. So I monitor houses between Monaghan and Harfelt, and we are looking towards the social housing with the new change of the building regulations and things. So this is how my idea has come into this. So we've all been students in here, for the most of us anyway, but I taken back from my first time living in an actual student house out of student accommodation. Whenever we first moved in, we don't know what you're doing, trying to get your bearings, things right. First time living out of the house properly. We moved in, and the much furniture that was left over from the previous tenants was absolutely tremendous. It was so much furniture, so much tables, chairs, everything. You could tell they were living there for a good long time. But us being first time out of the house, we don't know what to do. You shouldn't want to find the easy option as well. We were just told to leave it out. This isn't my photo now, but it was very similar, may as well be my photo, and they were all just going to the skip. It was a complete waste, so it was, and it got me thinking for this project then, why don't we do something about it? I'm sure there's people moving into student housing where you're buying new furniture and things, new tables, new chairs, things like that, and so, but there's going to be tenants here like me now. I'm finishing my lease now in September, so I will be getting rid of all them things. So I was thinking, why don't we have an Ulster University and Queen's University collaboration as a furniture fair? So people bring their furniture and people to come and take their furniture. It's literally just as simple as that. There's not much more to it. It can take place in the summer to align with the start and end of student housing tenancies, and it benefits absolutely everybody. It'll benefit us as students, saving money, money spending on other things, eco-friendly, we're not creating any more carbon emissions, and lastly, be cleaner streets and keep the lands a bit cleaner, even though it's probably a bit hard. So thank you all for listening. Thank you.
Hiya, so I'm Katie Hughes. I spend my 9 to 5 with DHL, and that's your trucks and your sheds for your supply chain. But my personal project is based on something that I experienced last year, and I'm expected to be impacted by again this year. I'm sure we're all familiar with algae blooms. By now it will have been in the media a lot last year, in particular Loch Ness, and we've already seen some sightings this year as well, so it's likely to be a problem as well. A knock-on effect of the algae in Loch Ness is that it washes down the River Bann and ends up in the coastlines. So I live up on the north coast. It washed down onto the beaches, and then all the beaches last year got closed at various points throughout the summer. This impacted plenty of people, you know, your holidayers, dog walkers, businesses on the north coast, and I want to focus on a really small group of people who got impacted in a particularly big way. I'm also a surf mentor, so I teach kids to surf with a charity called the Wave Project. We teach kids for 6 weeks at a time as part of a mental health intervention scheme. So we bring kids in, teach them to surf, and they should feel better at the end of it. It is proven. If you look at the Wave Project Instagram, there's case studies. In recent years, some of the referral notes have actually mentioned eco-anxiety, which is a bit scary for them. So I know everyone in this room understands the gravity of the climate crisis, but imagine trying to understand this as a 10-year-old. We can't stop them from having to face this, but we can kind of help them process it. So this year, there's 2 scenarios. We may or may not have the beaches closed, but what I would like to be able to provide is a template, a kid-friendly way to share the information to make it less scary, so that they still feel safe coming to those spaces. And if there's any advice in the room for how to do this, that would be appreciated.
So, my name is Ansumiri Alex, and I work as a low-carbon concrete technologist and a knowledge transfer partner between Queen's University and More Concrete Products Limited. So, the low-carbon concrete technologist, so I actually work with concrete and cement stuff. And the very first thing we actually talked about during our first workshop was to find our purpose. So I have actually found my purpose. So that is to be an advocate, raising awareness, driving action, and influencing positive changes towards more environmental responsible, socially just, and economical sustainable practices in both personal and professional spheres. So, are we on the right pathway to green? So if you actually see in here, the cement is actually the largest producer of carbon dioxide globally, almost reaching to around 7% of the global emissions. So over here, we use clinker, that's actually the main product for the cement, and we use calcined clay as a substitute, but even though all this contribute to like a high amount of carbon dioxide. And if you see over there, the Portland cement manufacture is actually the thing which results in highest amount of carbon dioxide emissions, even comparing to the other concrete production stuff. So, a solution to that is actually using cement-free concrete. So cement-free concrete is actually something which doesn't have cement in it. So it's actually manufactured by using waste materials combining with some chemicals, which I cannot reveal in here, sorry, but it's actually used by making of that. So this is actually something which I have done in the lab. So I'm proud to say that I have actually made myself a cement-free concrete. So that's actually me holding the small concrete stuff in the Petri dish. And this is actually some of the products we have actually made. So that's actually the reuse of industrial waste by this process is eco-friendly, it's sustainable, reduction in carbon dioxide emissions, and reduce global warming. So the aim of my individual project is reaching out to the consultants and councils to promote the use of cement. And as you can see, I want to identify the key contacts, provide evidence and case studies, and collaborate on pilot projects so we could actually make an impact on the society. Thank you.
So hi, my name is Claire, and the issue I want to focus on is the fact pollinators are in decline in Ireland. 1/3 of Ireland's 98 species of bee are currently under threat of extinction, and this is due mainly to a lack of safe habitat and a lack of appropriate food sources. And this has been directly linked to the massive decline of wildflower meadows and wildflower habitats across Ireland, caused by many reasons, but my focus will be on the trend of the modern monoculture garden. Linking this to my own role at Deal Farm, environmental issues tend to sit quite separately from the wider company. We currently don't have any biodiversity training in place, and communication of our ongoing biodiversity projects could definitely be improved. So to address these issues, I plan on rolling out a quarterly biodiversity-focused newsletter to all 1,045 Deal Farm employees via our connected app. It will have 4 main elements to it. The first element will be a guidance piece on how employees can create their own mini wildflower meadows in their gardens at home, regardless of the space that they're using and regardless of their expertise. The second element will be an update on any biodiversity-related projects ongoing on Deal Farm sites. The third element will be a native species spotlight to further educate, and the fourth and final element will be a overview of the state of biodiversity in Northern Ireland, as well as signposting to any local organisations, local community groups, further training and workshops, and any further resources. So in order to kickstart this biodiversity newsletter, any recommendations on the best content and any things to signpost for our employees would be welcome.
How connected do you feel to nature? And how do you fight for something you don't realise you're missing? We are facing a triple planetary crisis: biodiversity, climate, pollution. We need people to reconnect with nature, to feel responsibility of care. The initiative I'm planning to run is to rekindle people's affinity for nature, a plant scheme for office workers. Now, plenty of offices have greened up, recognising the benefits of indoor plants. Yet it doesn't take long before people stop really noticing the plants. What if, instead of plants being placed in offices, people are given an opportunity and the support to have their own little green friend, a plant that they have selected and they take care of? The small picture is taking care of your plant. The big picture is reawakening your connection to nature. I am planning to do this at my work in the following steps. The initiative will kick off with an introduction to plants workshop for people to learn how to choose the best plant that will suit them. Business provides a voucher for participants to select their plant from a local supplier. A PDF guide will be distributed on how to take care of your plant. People will have free access to plant care equipment. Finally, workshops will be run, beginning with plant care and seeing where it takes us. How do you come into this? To elevate the scheme, I'm looking for knowledge sharing, connection, support, advice. Are there any local plant shop owners, distributors or growers? Would anyone like to collaborate and run a workshop? For example, how to grow your own vegetables, herbs, how to connect with children, how to deal with your own compost? I would love to hear from you. My name is Chenka. Let's have a chat. Thank you.
Hi folks, my name is Rory. So I want to talk about urban green spaces and why they're important. So I went for a run on Tuesday evening, down to Lisbon Road, over one of the avenues and back up to Malone Road. And I think I genuinely nearly got killed about 20 times. Nearly got ran over, nearly got ran into by a tram, it was desperate. After work there last night, I ran a lovely 7k down the Lag and Go path. That's what I use urban green spaces for. I love getting out and about and I love using green spaces for this. But they're so much more important than that. They're important for biodiversity, they're important for urban habitat connectivity, they're essential for our urban pollinators and mitigating urban heat island effect. This is only a very short list of the importance of urban green spaces. What do I want to achieve with my individual project? Basically, I want to make sure that the urban habitats that we have remain connected, but not only just to stay that way, that we can actually improve them to benefit the pollinator communities that we have here, which is, as we've said there, very much under stress here in Northern Ireland and across Ireland. And I want to retain the vital ecosystem services that we all use from the urban green spaces. So, how am I going to go about achieving this? Over the last year, I've actually just completed my dissertation as part of my degree in environmental management, to which I identified that so much, oh sorry, I can't even read this, 56% of our council here in Northern Ireland didn't actually know whether they were part of the All Ireland Pollinator Plan, coming from a variety of planning consultants, biodiversity officers. So basically what I want to do is take the results of my dissertation and bring them to district councils, talk to them, explain to them, do you understand what this is, understand concepts like biodiversity net gain, understand the real benefits of our urban green spaces and why they're so important, and how we can actually improve them, not just for visual aesthetics, but also for the benefits of biodiversity and what they can bring to pollinators and people alike. Thank you.
Hello everybody, you hear me okay? There we go. So I think I very overly confidently came in a couple of weeks ago and said I was going to stick a bunch of sensors in TransLink and we're going to get some results. I was worried that essentially if I went there, stuck the sensors in, we're coming into summer, and the main thing that I was trying to do was find, basically I said that there was a smoke alarm that's allowed to tell you when the building's on fire, there's security alarms whenever somebody's broken in, can we get a carbon alarm? Can we know whenever heating's on and nobody's in the room? My big fear was we're coming into summer. Of course it's going to be like 19, 20 degrees and nobody's going to be there and nobody's going to care. Thankfully, as I hope, this is the sensor that I used here by the way, sorry, so it takes in temperature, occupancy, light levels, and then our software sends out alerts. Thankfully here with this particular site, it's getting up to 28 degrees on days where there's no one in. So that made the situation quite simple and easy for me to explain, because this is not just this one building, this is every building that I tend to work with, which is these larger buildings that I guess you assume are not going to have this issue. I am in the middle of trying to work out what's going on. I think that there's a bit of heating going on, even though it's the summer and this was the 20 degrees that just happened at the weekend. The whole point is that I just need to send the alerts, that's all. I need to get people aware that their buildings are wasting this kind of heat. That's my main goal. So, as simple as this, I'm in a few large, big corporate buildings, doing the same kind of business, and I just want to, oh, sorry, go ahead. Oh, yes, sorry, yeah. That's totally done me. I just want, the only thing I want to get out of this, I've done this, it only took a couple of weeks, as you all see, and all I want to find is anybody who has big buildings and little budgets. I want to get talking to anybody who would be interested to find out for their own building to reduce down their own carbon output. And all I need is a Teams call and I can explain the rest. If anybody thinks that we all work for, some of us work for large corporations or the public sector, please give me a shout and I think we can change the carbon in our own small pockets each. All right?
So hi everyone, I'm Kathleen Campbell and I'm an environmental advisor for Business and Community in Northern Ireland. And over the course of my working life, I worked in construction and now as an advisor. And the thing that I've noticed the most is that although stereotypes would say that only a small percentage of industries care about the environment, this actually isn't true. And The reason that most don't act on climate issues and their environmental impacts is because they simply don't know where to start. I worked in construction and I felt the exact same when I was starting out, and I would have loved Start Your Environmental Journey, like Guide for Dummies, but it didn't exist, unfortunately. In my current role, I feel like I have a really great advantage and opportunity to make this happen. By managing the Northern Ireland Environmental Benchmarking Survey, I aim to review and update on a regular basis, noting any changes to any environmental legislation to ensure the survey is the most up to date every year. With the survey, I hope that using this as an introduction guide, businesses won't feel overwhelmed like I did a few years ago. Being able to complete the survey, as well as getting ideas of the things that they could introduce to their company to easily become more sustainable. From this project, I want to be a helping hand to businesses. I want to offer support via one-to-one calls, discuss where they are at in their stage of the journey and what they can do to improve. I would love to develop some toolkits alongside of this, and I could hand out as a starting point for developing lights of their environmental management systems. And just my ask today is that if everyone in this room, we're all from all different companies, if you could complete the Northern Ireland Benchmarking Survey, that would be great this year. And please, any feedback at all that I might have missed in the questions, I'd be very open to conversation about this and to discuss further and add these questions in. Thank you.
My name's Ewan. I'm a development engineer at Cottagen. We're a net zero technology company based in cohort. There are around 25.5 million poultry animals in Northern Ireland, producing nearly 1 million tonnes of manure every single year. So that's about 14 chickens or birds for every human in Northern Ireland. They produce a lot of manure, about 1 million tonnes a year between them. The high nutrient content in the manure allows it to be used as fertilizer. However, farmers often have little alternative apart from spreading this on their fields. So we see a lot of runoff into waterways and so on, and the excess manure ends up being leached into these waterways, and we see similar disasters like that in Loch Ness. My project focuses around providing an alternative for the use of this manure by burning it. So the process involves giving farmers an alternative form of heat and electricity that they can use on their own property, with also potential to sell the excess electricity back to the grid. There's also the resource of the nutrient-rich ash that comes from the process. So this can still be used as fertilizer, but it's in a lot more controlled and storable form. Say about burning and moving away from these processes, but I believe there is research and innovation to be had in this area of what those emissions actually look like. So my project is focused in this area to make this process as clean as possible, using technology that's already used in the automotive sector and in Cottagen's net zero space. So what this actually looks like is implementing this technology on small scale, so using Cottagen expertise on test reactors, implementing modified processes on small scale farms, and then rolling this out to the wider Northern Ireland space with the overall purpose to present a pathway to remove potentially tens of thousands of tonnes of pollutants from our waterways. Thank you for listening. I'll take any more questions because I do love talking shit.
Hello everyone, it's so nice to be here, and I'll be meeting many of you hopefully down the back later. My name is Katie Cleara and I'm the Campaigns and Communications Manager at Stamp Out Poverty, which is an organisation that coordinates international campaigns to tackle climate change. But growing up, one thing I was always taught was if you break it, you buy it. And this comes from having 4 siblings, and it was more like if you smash your sister's toys, you're going to have to pay for it from your own pocket money. But being a middle child, I grew and developed that finely honed sense of justice, and I've carried that into my adult life. But getting older and looking at how climate change and environmental damage has unfolded around the world and on our own doorstep, we know that polluting industries are responsible, but they rarely, if ever, pay for what they've broken. And I believe that justice must be served. For my project, I'm going to take the polluters pay principle and apply it to environmental damage happening here in Northern Ireland. So therefore my purpose is simple: To ensure justice and equity, those who pollute our collective environment must pay for it. But how am I going to do it? I'll do the following. First, I'm going to develop an initial case study examining the economic costs of an example of environmental damage in Northern Ireland. Taking Lough Neagh, for example, which other speakers have already highlighted, how such an ecological catastrophe has happened. I want to explore how that has happened, who's responsible, and what the cost will be to resolve it. I'm going to take existing proposals on make polluters pay taxes, fines and levies, examine how they can feasibly be applied via the devolved government here in Northern Ireland. I'm going to connect with existing organisations in the climate change space to build a wide-reaching public campaign to educate and inspire people to join the call to make polluters pay. And, armed with all the above, I'm going to approach policymakers in Northern Ireland and lobby to bring these well-developed proposals into legislation and policy. By 2029, the year I turned 30, incidentally, which is quite scary, the impacts of this campaign will be tangible and wide-reaching. Everything going well, with broad public and political support, legislation will be introduced that ensures polluters pay for environmental damage. And most importantly, this will act as a deterrent and result in fewer incidents of environmental damage in future. Thank you.
Hi everyone. So my name is Greta. I am the advisory manager at ATC, and what impact do I want to do? So I want to provide Northern Irish businesses with the tools they need to address their impact on biodiversity through their land management and their activities, products and services. So why do I want to address this? Biodiversity, we are in a biodiversity crisis. We know that 4% of species in Northern Ireland are under threat of extinction. More globally, 1 in 4 species are also at risk of extinction as well. But we know that there's also an economic importance to nature. It's not only just important for everyone in terms of health and well-being. 76% of the land in Northern Ireland is currently used for agriculture, which means that there's a wider components there. And also, we need to raise awareness of it. Not everyone is aware that biodiversity is as important. There's issues around that. So how do I plan on doing this? So business in the community already has a business and biodiversity charter. It's a framework for businesses to engage with biodiversity, and it's based on a staged approach where a business has to demonstrate how to meet each level of the charter in order to achieve it. So I want to build on this charter, firstly by developing a more foundational level of it, where businesses who might not even have an initial level of understanding to engage with the charter to be able to begin their journey within it, and also by supporting businesses that are currently in the process of achieving this charter. And finally, also by adding an extra level to it of showcasing best practice examples and sharing knowledge within Northern Ireland. So my ask is, can you help me connect with best case examples or with businesses that have had a positive impact on biodiversity and have more specific knowledge on this so that we can update it further? Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Emer Duffy. I'm an engineer at Cottaging. About this time last year, I actually had a bit of a skin breakout, as everyone does, and instead of blaming the diet or stress levels or any feasible reason, I decided to blame my water. So I did a bit of investigation into water filtration. And it was actually as part of the Climate Change Makers programme. We were exposed to a lot of amazing speakers. And while we were talking to Ronan from Thriftify, he actually mentioned ceramic filters and their benefits in taking microplastics out. So I went back to my little project and analysed that, as microplastics are such a huge concern at the minute. As you can see, they're fastly becoming one of the most critical climate change issues, with 2/3 of all plastic that has ever been produced still existing on the earth in the form of microplastics. So the effects are vast and very, very under-researched. Some studies suggest that it can have effects such as stunted growth, increased risk of disease such as cancer and Parkinson's, and it can affect your fertility by up to 50%. Several studies also have said that soil microplastic pollution can directly contribute to the acceleration of greenhouse gas emission, and indirectly by promoting the soil respiration, which adversely affects carbon sinks such as trees. But don't panic, there is some amazing solutions out there. I want to lean on my engineering background to help to allow and encourage people to be able to break this carbon cycle or microplastic cycle on an individual and local basis, and to stop the addition of these to the local ecosystem through consumption and by re-adding it to terrestrial and marine environments. So, sorry, just seeing the hands put me off. But no, there's so many solutions out there. I've got a bit carried away. So if anyone can help refine these ideas, or if anyone has any other ideas they want to bounce off to go down, I'm all ears. I'm always happy to talk about it. Thank you.
Thanks, Emer. Next, we are going to hear from Polly.
Hi everyone, I'm just going to set a timer for myself because I do a job which involves lots of chatting, so I love it. Yeah, my name's Polly. I currently work for the Belfast Hills Partnership, but I also work as a freelance artist and photojournalist. So I'm going to start off by bombarding everybody with this long list of words. So they may seem like they're not connected, but if you're very smart you might realise that lots of them describe the natural environment. They are also 50 words that were recently removed from the Junior Oxford Dictionary. So this dictionary is aimed to educate children with all of the words and the language that they'll need to describe their environments, their experiences, and the stories that they like to share. So if we're finding that words like acorn and bluebell and conquer are being removed, and then words like cut and paste and chat room are being added, we can tell that this is reflecting the society that we live in and the experiences and the childhood that people are currently living through. As a storyteller and a photojournalist, I felt that this was a call to action, and I would really like to encourage more people to be able to advocate for nature in an empowered way and be informed. So I recently did a case on Loch Ness, which has come up quite a few times for a French newspaper, and it was great to collaborate with a photojournalist on that. Journalist on that, and I was a photojournalist. I also work as an outdoor educator, and every day I meet young people who are struggling to find the words to describe their current experiences. So they can see a world around them and they're literally losing the words to be able to describe something that is slowly disappearing. Eco-anxiety has come up a few times in people's conversations, so it's definitely something we need to work on. So, my solution is the nature narrators. I have used the arts as a way to communicate and understand the world around me, and I'd like to take more people along that journey with me. So it'd start off as a one-week summer program for children. They would learn practical skills like photography, research, and writing and reporting. Then we'd have regular club meetings, and there'd be opportunities for mentorship schemes and collaboration. And then in 6 months, I'd have to push for some printed material and collaborate with local news agents. Then in the end, we would have our showcase happening again, present the work that's been created over the year, and then we would start that cycle. So in the end, we would have a group of young people who would be educated and empowered to talk about the climate crisis and finally join the conversations that we're having in this room today. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Zara and I'm a field officer at Keep Northern Ireland Beautiful. I'm also a volunteer speaker for Tear Fund, which is a Christian international development charity. Both of these roles allow me to support and be encouraged by community action happening all across Northern Ireland. A very important part of my why is my Christian faith, and I believe that we are stewards of the environment and have a responsibility to protect it. In October 2021, faith leaders made a call to world governments to safeguard, restore and heal our wounded humanity and the home entrusted to our stewardship. This is why I work in this sector and why my individual impact project is based on environmental action in the local church in Northern Ireland. Many churches in Northern Ireland are responding to the climate crisis with action. Some have dedicated environment teams, others have set up recycling points in their local communities, others are using their land for pollinators. I believe that there is a need to bring together these efforts to maximise and facilitate more impact. There are schemes in other parts of the UK and Ireland, but none currently in Northern Ireland. So this has led me to develop Rooted, a creation care program to guide and empower churches to make environmentally friendly choices. This will include an educational resource which maps out different topics such as waste, energy, land management. It will include a hub of resources linking them to charities who can support their efforts, and it will also aim to create a network of churches who can share their ideas and inspire others. I've carried out a pilot programme in my own local church who don't get much choice in taking on my ideas. But we've explored issues such as reducing our single-use plastics, buying fair trade, engaging with the topic of climate change, and improving our recycling as well. So to finish, I feel that churches provide a really exciting way to educate and empower more people to join the fight against climate change and make an impact both in our local environment and across the world. So thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, I'd love to have them.
Good afternoon everyone, my name is Donna Harkin, and today I'd like to present to you on increasing sustainability awareness through agricultural shows, specifically that of Tyrone Farming Society's OMA show. So if I could ask you all for a moment to think of an example of farming sustainably. Now I'm not going to ask for your response, but I'm pretty sure that if I did, we'd all have completely different examples of farming sustainably. And that's because there's not one set route. And if it's overwhelming for us, a group of climate change makers, I can only imagine how overwhelming it is for people whose daily role is not sustainability. And that's why the aim of my project is to increase sustainability awareness, engagement and understanding through agricultural community and the local community at OMA Show. I've been involved with OMA Show for the last 10 years, specifically within their sheep section, and I love to work with farmers to discuss what sustainability measures they might already be implementing that they're not aware of, and how they can increase their sustainability in the future. I'd also love to make sustainability a positive impact in the local community, so that they leave the show day thinking about how they can increase their sustainability in their daily life. So why do I want to do this? Well, the agricultural sector, as we all know, is the biggest carbon emitter in Northern Ireland, and they are being asked to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions by 16% by 2030. They're also being asked to reduce their livestock numbers and improve their farming by more carbon efficient. So I want to work with OMA Show to work on their sustainability and how they can increase it in the future and how they can implement sustainability initiatives. I also want to be there for farmers on a show day, a day that they're all likely to be attending, on how they can increase their sustainability, answering any questions they might have and offering advice if needed. So when is this taking place? This will take place on Saturday, the 6th of July at the Tyrone Farming Society Showgrounds, and I'd love to see you all there. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll answer any questions afterwards if needed.
Hello everyone, my name is Neve, and I'm very excited to introduce to you today Roam, a concept I believe has the potential to transform the Irish travel industry and reduce our individual transport emissions. Myself and my other half recently had a free weekend coming up and decided to book a trip to Kilkenny. We checked out Airbnb and all the usual websites and were shocked by prices, with an average weekend stay coming in at £426. I changed the location, Galway, Fermanagh, Belfast, and still we just couldn't justify the cost for one weekend, and came to the same conclusion I'm sure many of us in the room are familiar with. Sure, for that price you may as well just head away. Cheap airline flights paired with the expensive staying local have made city breaks irresistible, but while we're saving on one hand, we're paying with the other. Air travel accounts for 8% of UK and 7% of Republic of Ireland total greenhouse gas emissions. In Northern Ireland, transport makes up 35% of all energy used and over 20% of emitted greenhouse gases. Dublin Airport generates 2.8 million tonnes of CO2 annually, which is the equivalent of 1.4 million cars on the road. There's something broken when it costs less to travel abroad than to explore the fantastic towns, cities and villages right here on our doorstep. There is a real opportunity, I believe, to reduce the cost and break down the barriers of local travel. So I want to develop an Ireland-wide house swapping platform that will provide users with a secure way to arrange hassle-free house swaps and explore the many beautiful locations that are across the country. Users will create a personal profile providing information on themselves, their homes, their families and their local area
They can then explore available homes and connect with potential matches to arrange a swap. This will open the door for couples, families and friends to get that much needed break we all need without the climate anxiety. This concept has been tried and tested in mainland Europe and is booming in the States. By working with tourist boards, promoting bus and rail transport, and organising roam day trips to the hidden gems across the country, I believe that the potential is huge to create a fresh, fun approach to travel. I would love to talk to as many people in the room as possible and to take you all with me on this journey. As I said, Rome wasn't built in a day, had to get that in somewhere, and welcome all help and support. Thank you.
Sorry, Marno, you've been hearing that speaker the whole time. So this is a bit from left field, but so in 34 days after taking office, President Roosevelt employed the first of over 3 million young people to build parks and reclaim forests and farmland. This was the Civilian Conservation Corps, and it led to the restoration of 120 million acres of land and the planting of half of all trees ever planted in the US, over 3 billion. So I'm a student at Queen's, and I currently work on placement in the Department of the Economy. And for my individual impact project, I want to take inspiration from this amazing program, slightly more humble, and start a conversation with my colleagues on the potential of introducing this as a policy solution here in the North. So I think that the challenges that we face are suited for this. We have the lowest woodland density in Europe. We only plant about 10% of what's required to meet our tree cover target by 2050. We're one of the most nature depleted regions in the world, and there's a conservative estimate of 22% of the houses here experience extreme fuel poverty. But there are also opportunities. So we have a strong further education sector, which could be leveraged to provide training, apprenticeships, and further career opportunities. We have an engaged publicly owned water company, which England doesn't. A large number of publicly owned buildings, with the housing estate owning 10% of the housing stock. And there's also policy alignment. With the restoration of the executive, the Minister of the Economy set out 4 objectives: decarbonisation, addressing the sub-regional inequality present, increasing productivity, and providing better jobs, all of which can align with this programme. Initially, this would be a small pilot working with 18 to 30-year-olds who could tackle these environmental challenges, working in land conservation, collaborating with NI Water, working with for community resilience after extreme weather disasters, and even the potential to work with improving the terrible housing stock here. So ultimately, this programme aims to provide a different path for those leaving school, while also getting more and more people into the green economy to help address the issues that we're facing. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Robin and I'm from Lightsource BP. I've been working in the renewable energy space for about 4 years now, and I'd like to thank the 30Under30 programme for giving me the opportunity to present today. So Northern Ireland is at a really critical point in terms of its energy transition. Traditionally, we've relied quite heavily on fossil fuels, and we've also imported them quite a lot as well. But more recently, we're seeing the diversification of energy sources through the adoption of renewable energy, which are kind of slowly and surely being incorporated into Northern Ireland's energy mix. By harnessing the sun's rays, we're able to unlock limitless sustainable energy. Solar reduces carbon emissions, it tackles climate change, and it also offers long-term cost savings on a more larger scale. It also enhances our energy independence and security by decentralising energy production. Solar offers really simple, reliable and scalable solutions which are becoming more and more accessible as the technology improves and the costs decrease, which in turn drives affordability and accessibility in solar technology. So solar is one of the cheapest forms of electricity that we can get today. So I'll get into my main idea. It's a really simple one, but I'm proposing to install solar panels on top of bus shelters, on the roofs of bus shelters, which will then in turn power the timetables, lights and advertising boards, which will eliminate the need for traditional energy sources. And I'd also like to do this then with zebra crossings as well. And we can see the figure down the bottom here. So there's 15,635 bus shelters across Northern Ireland. 4 solar panels can fit on top of the roof, which produces 1,200 kilowatts of power. Multiplying that by the 15,000, it actually generates 18,000 megawatts of electricity, which equals 3.5 million tons or metric tons of carbon offset each year. So to make my vision a reality, I'm going to seek engagement with government agencies, transit authorities and local communities so I can identify the best locations for these installations, and I'd also welcome partnerships as well with organisations and individuals who share my commitment to creating a more sustainable and resilient future. R&D, of course, is really important because it will allow us to innovate and improve on the technology that we have today, and in turn, again, making it more efficient and cost effective. So just to finish then, while I know my idea may not be revolutionary in its concept, it embodies the essence of creating a meaningful change quickly and effectively. Climate change requires swift action, and by putting solar panels on bus shelters and at zebra crossings, it's deploying a solution that can be really rapidly rolled out and also scaled across various locations, which will allow us to make a tangible change, a tangible impact quickly while addressing climate change related issues. Thanks.
So good afternoon, I'm Hannah and I am the Sustainability Graduate for Northern Materials, a local quarrying company that aims to be the leading supplier of sustainable building materials in Northern Ireland. So because of the nature of my work, I regularly attend sustainability related events and seminars, all of which mention at some point or another how agriculture is Northern Ireland's biggest greenhouse gas emitting sector, how cows are responsible for half of the methane emissions in the UK, or how farming is the enemy of biodiversity. While this all may be true, I often feel that farmers are vilified when it comes to climate change, being told they are their problem and need to change, but given little to no support from the public in doing so. It's quite demotivating. We have to remind ourselves that this is not just someone's job, but their entire identity we're dealing with here. It's a delicate situation. This brings me to the change I want to make. I want to change our collective mindset from farmers are the problem to farmers are the solution, and garner some support for our men and women in brown shoes. But how am I going to do this? Well, when I'm not busy with my day-to-day job, saving the world one stone at a time, you'll find me at Young Farmers, a voluntary youth organisation run by young people for young people in the rural community. I plan to run a climate education programme for our young farmers from the point of view that farmers are the solution. The hope is that by framing the conversation differently, they won't be as defensive and will be more willing to listen and change. I will use my own club, Ballywalter Young Farmers, as a pilot. I will conduct the training at one of our bi-weekly Friday night meetings, and then I plan to take the education to county and to headquarters for full Northern Ireland rollout. But what do I need from you? Your support. I need your help to spread the message that farmers are the solution. At the end of the day, we need them for food security. We can't rely on our imports, but they need to change. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Tom. I'm also from Callagan, and my project, Forever Green and I, was born out of the harrowing fact that Ireland has one of the worst forest coverages in all of Europe, with very little native woodland remaining. In fact, in the Titanic Quarter of Belfast, it has one of the lowest tree equity scores in all of Northern Ireland, despite it seeing 20,000 people living, working and commuting there daily, as well as 100 multinational companies within the area. I would like to set up a multi-company carbon sequestration green space as a pilot project within the Titanic Quarter, where anybody in the local area could go to have access to a more forested space, as well as for companies that contribute a fee to its upkeep, they would have the added benefit of using the site as a tree nursery. I would hope to build off of the Belfast Tree Strategy and the 1 Million Trees campaign, forming a partnership with either the Conservation Volunteers, the Woodland Trust, or another similar organisation whose expertise would aid in ensuring that we are planting the most appropriate native trees at appropriate times of the year. And if space is limited, through initiatives like the Forest in the Box scheme, by a metre squared box, you could propagate up to 200 saplings across a 2-year period. Now space is limited, of course, So what will we do with all the trees from the tree nursery? Well, after visiting TransLink with the 30 Under 30 programme we're here with today, I found out that as a large-scale landowner within Northern Ireland, TransLink were hoping to plant with the help of the Woodland Trust, yet they ran into a resource issue. They didn't have enough trees. Therefore, I propose that the overflow from the tree nursery could be used by large landowners looking to plant within the island of Ireland, providing them with a lower cost solution as well as combating resource issues, while also allowing the companies contributing to the tree nursery to offset their employees' personal emissions or company emissions themselves, thanks to the carbon sequestration capabilities of the trees across their lifetime. I envision, after a couple of years, a system in place whereby with very little input, local companies can work together to reforest native woodland, both combating deforestation across the island and the climate crisis as well. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Em Taylor and I work for an organisation called Outscape. So I want you just to remember back to COVID, during lockdown when we lived for our daily exercise. For me, it was a time to get out, explore my local area and connect with nature. According to the People in the Outdoor Monitor for NI, 41% of the Northern Irish population visit the outdoors to connect with nature. Despite this, less than half of Northern Irish households are within 400 metres of publicly accessible green space or off-road trails. This figure is according to the Green Space NI map, an authoritative map of all nature, natural and publicly accessible green spaces and off-road trails, the first of its kind for Northern Ireland. This map has been created to provide analysis for proposed government policies and targets, the main one being to increase the percentage of households within 400 metres of green space or off-road trails. But why is this important? 7 in 10 people in Northern Ireland go outdoors for leisure at least once a week. Green space and off-road trails provide spaces for people to exercise, enjoy the outdoors, whether this is a run, a walk, or just a family picnic. The benefits are no secret in terms of physical, mental health and well-being. But what about for nature? Environmental benefits vary across different types of green spaces. The manicured monoculture grassy areas can only be described as green deserts. But on the other side of the coin, we also have some beautiful species-rich, biodiverse nature reserves and grasslands. These areas act as vital ecosystems as well as being carbon sinks where CO2 is stored, air quality is improved and the effects of climate change are reduced. 41% of the population visit the outdoors to connect with nature. This is only possible if the nature is there. And the reality of climate change is that we are rapidly losing the biodiversity which makes Ireland so unique. Is the solution as simple as just building more green spaces and trails, or is that just where the irony lies? Likewise, I don't think the solution to climate change is more green space, but it's a good place to start. And I encourage you to check out the Green Space map. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Catherine McGinn and I work for the Carbon Literacy Project. And the impact that I'd like to have through 30 Under 30 is to increase the population of carbon literate citizens here in Northern Ireland. So first of all, what is carbon literacy? So for those of you who don't know, carbon literacy is a climate education and action programme. It's a day's worth of learning about climate change and it enables learners to develop an understanding of the climate crisis and the awareness and motivation of how they can act and what they can do to reduce their carbon impacts. With it being an action-based programme, learners will make 2 climate action pledges as a result of the training, the 2 best possible actions that they can take in their own personal sphere. And after this, they can become certified, they receive a nice little certificate, and they're deemed as carbon literate. So how does this relate to Northern Ireland? You can see my format has changed slightly, but so across the globe there's over 94,000 carbon literate citizens, and 2,500 of this figure comes from Northern Ireland. This might seem on the grand scale that it's a very fair equivalent figure to come from this neck of the woods, but the vast majority of our global learners come from the UK, which means that Northern Ireland has just contributed a small percentage of this. Because climate education is a form of climate justice, I believe that everyone should have access to carbon literacy and the low carbon lifestyle and culture change that it instills. So today I'm looking to find and secure new delivery partners who can help disseminate the training to more and new audiences across Northern Ireland and to unlock potential, and also to deepen the relationships that we have with our current delivery partners here in Northern Ireland so we can reach more people together. As a result, there will be a rise in the number of carbon literate citizens and a cut in carbon emissions across the north. Thank you.
Good afternoon everybody, my name is Monica Morgan and thanks again to 30Under30 for running this workshop here today. So I come from a small village at the foothills of the Mourne Mountains, and a bit of my passions would be around the agricultural industry and these extensive landscapes like of the Mourne Mountains. What I'll be asking from you today, I'm going to run through a problem, a solution and an impact, and what I would want out of that is networking, ideas, suggestions, and if you're out hiking on the Mourne Mountains and see my sheep, just send me a text message after every So I'll show you the picture of what they look like on the last day. So I'm going to run through a bit of the problems. So we all have our part to play in the environmental challenge, and that's not just humans, that includes sheep. So we underestimate. You touched on briefly that there's 14 chickens per capita, there's roughly, and then now there's 1 sheep per person. So 1.2 billion sheep in the world, so then 1 sheep per 8 people in the world there too. So the problem with sheep is that with sheep there's problems if you undergraze these extensive landscapes, and the problems would be ecological damage and biodiversity loss. There's also the problem is that if you overgraze it as well, there's ecological damage and biodiversity loss. So like anything in the world where there's too much or too little, it usually leads to problems. With that as well, there's inadequate management is a problem. For if you'd imagine the way sheep are hefted or gathered at the minute is one man and his woman go out with a sheepdog, and it's like a glorified game of hide and seek of actually locating them and maybe trying to move them. So with everything in the world, technology is increasing, it's becoming more predominant, and the same with agriculture, so why can we not do something? So the solution would be optimising sheep management and tracking. I want to put GPS collars on sheep, and with that I can gather data. So this will allow me to have precision tracking, utilising this GPS technology, real-time data insights, and even things like geofencing where you get alerts if they enter or leave certain areas. I've got early traction where I'm on a couple of programmes with Catalyst and Idea Ireland, so there is a wee bit of backing around this idea. So integrating innovation into traditional practices, so I'm not making the sheepdog redundant, it will still have its place as well. And the impact these are the sheep, by the way, is empowering environmental sustainability. So it really is a solution to manage and gather data on sheep behaviour for research organisations, for people like the National Trust, and of course the livestock owner. It's a very positive environmental impact and pave the way for a more sustainable future, and overall preserving our ecosystems on sheep farming for future generations. Thanks very much.
So, hi, my name is Anya Murray, and I'm an energy assessor for the construction industry, and I want to form the community of energy assessors in Northern Ireland to help unite energy assessors within our new country. So, I am 29 years old, and I know I look 21, okay? But I'm at the age where, like most of my friends, I'm thinking about buying a house. So being an energy assessor, I always ask them, have you checked the energy, like the EPC certificate for the property? What is an EPC, you may ask? It's essentially this certificate here, and it gives a breakdown of the energy usage in your home, and also gives recommendations on how to improve your energy efficiency. And it also gives an indicative fuel cost of how much you're likely to spend in your home that year. All of these issues relate directly to fuel poverty, so it can help tackle stuff like that. I kind of realised, talking to my friends, maybe a lot of people don't know what an EPC is, let alone if they have one, which is a shame because did you know these certificates have the potential to entitle you to green mortgages or carbon neutral mortgages, sugar times go bank, that can help give a cheaper interest rate, and also some banks offer £500 cash back. That's great, isn't it? Here's the problem. The software we use to calculate the EPCs is so out of date, it is 3 years off being able to vote. We're we are the only country in the UK to still use the software that was first issued in 2009. Here's what I want to do to stop this from happening again. I want to form the Community of Energy Assessment in Northern Ireland. I want this to unite all energy assessors within our region and also act as a voice to the executive for the future changes in building regulations. And we could also set out a new framework of how to talk to consumers to show them the importance of this EPC and it can act as a guide. And I want to be clear, these issues will not solve the likes of fuel poverty. However, what it will do is put the likes of put the likes of energy performance in the person's home, like in the person's hands, and help them make it more comfortable. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jamie Hamilton, and I work for the Odyssey Trust. The Odyssey Trust includes the SSE Arena, the Belfast Giants, W5 and W5 Life. As Northern Ireland's primary entertainment venue, we have the opportunity to positively affect sustainability in Northern Ireland. My individual impact project is focused on single-use plastics within the live entertainment industry in Northern Ireland. Currently, on a good year, we could use upwards of 1 million single-use cups in our arena alone. This equates to approximately 78 tonnes of carbon dioxide equivalent emissions. Now, the ideal solution would be to implement a reusable cup. However, the challenge we face, the closest industrial washing facility is actually located in Dublin, so that's not financially feasible nor sustainably feasible. As part of my project, I've started to engage with potential suppliers of reusable cups. They've attended our venue and had positive things to say about the potential for implementing a reusable cup. We've projected in our venue alone, making a switch to a reusable cup over a 10-year period, we could save approximately 700 tonnes of carbon dioxide equivalent emissions, and that's in our venue alone. This, of course, is all reliant on a Belfast-based washing facility becoming a reality for the reusable cups. Not to mention the impact we could have by implementing a £1 non-refundable deposit on the cups for the first drink of customers, which would then we wouldn't profit from. We would donate to charitable initiatives at the end of the season. So today, I'm asking for your help to make sustainable events in Northern Ireland a reality, to source a centralised, cost-effective washing facility that can benefit all entertainment venues in Belfast. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Joe Murray. I work in place shaping in the outdoor recreation sector. Essentially what that means is my bread and butter is that I make walking and cycling trails for communities. So who here likes to go for a walk in nature? Like Rory? Good, you'll like this then. So the climate issue that I found, and the environmental issue I found, is pollution in our rivers, particularly those from agricultural runoff versus fertilisers. When that gets exacerbated, it runs downstream and causes algal blooms, and you guessed it, Loch Ness. So enter riparian buffers. Riparian buffers are essentially vegetated strips of land. There's a strong evidence base there that they are biodiversity corridors, and they also work to soak up pollutants before they can reach the watercourse. But despite that strong evidence base, there's a lack of implementation in Northern Ireland, and that's due to a lack of financial incentive to shift from more profitable agriculture intensive land use, and also a lack of land use policy to enable it as well. So my solution is twofold. The first element is to integrate public access and recreation into the traditional riparian buffer design, and therefore adding some community engagement there alongside environmental input and some social value. That social value then will be quantified through a natural capital assessment. That is where I'll pull together available data and also conduct a survey, and that will produce a quantifiable social value and a return of investment for future trails, because we based off an existing trail in Brisbane. So this is very collaboration intensive. It requires a lot of stakeholder engagement with landowners, communities, experts, and landowners. So if that's you, then I want to speak to you. I want to speak to you about how we can make a positive impact on our rivers by using riparian buffers as a positive, practical, viable, accessible, measurable solution. Thank you.
So, hello everybody, I'm Naomi and I work on the sustainability team at Queen's University Belfast. And as part of my role, I work with staff, students and the local community on environmental projects. And presently we work with roughly around 6 community groups on their allotment and garden projects. But what we find is that we work with them on an individual basis and not necessarily where they connect in with each other. So for my impact project, I would like to create a community garden network for South Belfast and starting in South Belfast, as a network would help communities feel better connected with like-minded individuals who all share the common goal of wanting their communities to thrive. And the impact of this project, I would like by 2029 to have 30 groups across the whole of Belfast included, with roughly 300 to 500 volunteers involved. And so today my ask is that we support our local community groups where possible, be it through volunteering or providing resources, and that we also work together, especially with Queen's, to create better partnerships for the planet. So thank you very much for listening.